Hi everybody, and thanks for stopping by. Today I'm just going to be doing a quick video on a couple tips that may help you if you have a torch. I have a torch with a hose and the bottle. Sometimes they're connected directly to the bottle. The hose just makes it easier. You can actually use this propane torch to do several things when you're smoking or barbecuing. So let me show you a couple of those things right now. So here I am at my Oklahoma Joe's Highland Grill, which a couple days ago I used to smoke some chuck roasts. And as you can see on the grill, there's bits of the meat, the grease, the sauce, and everything that kind of stuck to it. If you were cleaning this from a barbecue, what you might do is just crank the burners all the way up, get it super hot. All that stuff crisps up and you hit it with a brush. It cleans up, gets knocked off fairly easily. On a smoker like this, you can't really get the temp hot enough. You really have a hard time getting it over 300 degrees, and you need to get it much hotter for this stuff to actually sort of carbonize and turn crispy. It's going to take you a lot of fuel to try and get the temp hot enough to have any chance of doing that. And you know, for a smoker like this, fuel is money. Wood costs money, at least where I live. I don't get it free, I have to pay for it for smoking wood. So the torch here becomes a pretty nice tool. So let me show you. First thing I have to do here is, if you have a temperature probe in here like I do, you got to get this out of the way. These are not made to take direct flame. I think they're limited to somewhere around 500, 600 degrees. And if you're hitting it with a propane flame, even though you don't have to be aiming at this, you can actually damage it. And I've done that stupidly before. So just move it out of the way. Okay, so one bit of caution here. If you've never used a propane torch, don't just go get one to start doing this. You know, find someone who knows how to use it, give you a little bit of instruction on it. It's not hard, but you want to be safe. We're just going to start hitting these areas with the grease and the meat chunks on it to crisp it up so it'll get knocked off easily. Okay, now we're just going to start brushing down our grill like we normally would, but this stuff's going to come off a lot easier. Flaky bits are going to start falling off. And if there's any areas that are still a little stubborn, just hit them with the torch again. The biggest thing here is it's not gunky and greasy. It's not just sticking to the brush. It's falling off. It's a lot cleaner than it was a minute ago, and those bits of meat and juice and grease and sauce just hardened up and fell off down onto the tuning plate. Using the torch just makes that a simpler process, a cleaner process. And for tip number 2 today, I'm going to be using the torch to save some money by using the Weber kettle here. I'll show you how. So I have my Weber kettle set up right now for some indirect cooking. I'm going to be using it to roast some tomatoes, tomatillos, peppers, and everything to make some salsa in a few minutes. And the charcoal I'm using, this is the 3rd time I will have used this bit of charcoal in here. The first time I used it, the indirect charcoal holders were not in there, and it was just all spread around, and I used it to cook hamburgers and some hot dogs and things like that. After that first cook, I knocked all the ash down and into the ash catcher, and there were still pieces of charcoal left, quite a bit actually, because all I did when I was done with that first cook was I put the lid on, closed all the vents, and the fire was smothered. The coals were snuffed out. No oxygen, no fire. So those coals still had some life left in them. Then I was roasting some tomatoes and tomatillos and everything for a batch of salsa the other day, and I put it on indirect. And I used those same coals again. This time though, I lit them in the holders using the torch. Cooked for about 20 minutes or so, got everything roasted, shut down the vents, smothered the fire again, and still had charcoal left. You can see that there's still life left in this charcoal. Now, the first time I used the charcoal when it was spread throughout the kettle without the indirect assembly, I'd used the charcoal chimney to light it, which is natural. But I didn't want to take all those pieces out of there and shove them back in the chimney and relight them using newspaper. Some of the pieces by that point had gotten smaller after burning for a while and can kind of fall through that bottom of the charcoal chimney between the wires which hold the charcoal. Also, I didn't want to pick each piece out and put it in there. So I just simply made sure all the ash was knocked off, put it in the individual holders for the indirect, and used the torch to light it. Now, time number 3, I'm just going to repeat that process. I've knocked all the ash off already, down into the catcher, and I'm going to use the torch to light the charcoal here again. Just going to use it to light a few of the coals, get them smoking again, and then they will light the rest of the coals. Going to light the other side now. If you hold your hand over this, it's already starting to get hot. Those are already ignited. This is what I'm going to be roasting for salsa in a few minutes. Doesn't that look good? Jalapenos, tomatoes, red onions, tomatillos, garlic. It's gonna be good. Okay, our temp is coming up. It's just over 250, pushing about 260 right now. And because this is the 3rd time I've used this charcoal, I am going to add a couple pieces of fresh charcoal, 1 to each side. Gonna add my basket of vegetables and peppers and everything here. Put the lid on, and let that start roasting. So I hope you found those tips helpful. This type of torch and propane cylinder and hose, you can find these at Home Depot, Lowe's, Amazon. I'll put some links in the description below. But this is what I use sometimes to keep using charcoal more than once without having to use the charcoal chimney a second time, and to help clean up that smoker, the cooking grates on it, which you just can't get hot enough with normal fuel in there like you could on a gas grill or a charcoal grill, and like crank that up to 500 or 600 degrees. So this way it allows you to do that. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you again soon.